All right, my lovely artistes, we are on to our next craft today, which is the Valentine's Day sun catchers. So if you missed the first video, make sure you go back and watch it. It was the Unity wreath, and we learned how to put these together. They look awesome, right? So next is the Valentine's Day sun catcher. So the only thing that you don't have in your bag that you will need for this project is a pair of scissors. So if you don't feel comfortable using scissors alone, make sure you ask for some help. But that's the only thing that's not in your bag. So you should have everything else. So you'll have a sheet of either red or pink construction paper, a little roll of something called contact paper. Looks like this. You should have a sheet of red and pink tissue, and then a small piece of red ribbon. So you'll want all of this. Make sure that you don't lose any of it. We're going to use all of this today for our project. So we're first going to start with this piece of construction paper. Now, this part is a little bit tricky, but you guys got this. So what you're going to want to do is take one corner and very, very gently, you want to try to bring it. Oops. I'll actually tilt this down so you can see a little better. You want to try to bring it as close to the edge as you can, so that way your paper is going to make a perfect square. Now, normally I would tell you to press down real hard and make this fold for when we do our fold out cards or origami or anything like that. But we're not doing that today. We want to just very, very, very gently press. That way when we unfold it, it's not a firm crease here, okay? Now I'm gonna pause for just 1 second. Okay, I had forgotten my scissors, sorry. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors, and you see this edge piece here, this rectangle that's left. We are going to try our best to just chop that off. So again, be very careful, especially if you don't feel safe using scissors by yourself. You're gonna wanna ask for some help with this part. There we go. So cut off that little rectangle. Now, when we unfold our paper, we should have a perfect, if not pretty close to perfect square. Awesome. So take a minute and just kind of fold that out. Press all along where we made that crease so that way it doesn't show up too much. Okay, now again, we're not going to fold a firm line, but we are going to very gently fold our papers. And this is hot dog style, so you want to fold it side to side. Okay. So, pretty good. We're not creasing it too much. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut a heart out of this. So you guys probably already know how to do this. But we're going to start at the bottom where the fold is. And we're going to cut half of a heart. And I'm going to try to use as much of my paper as possible, so that way I'm not wasting too much. All right, so we cut a shape like this out of our paper, and then when we unfold it, we have a heart. Yay! So again, we're going to kind of fold on that crease, press on that crease to get anything out so it lays pretty flat. Awesome. So now we have this heart. So here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Now, we want the inside of our heart to be hollow or empty because we're going to stick our contact paper on there, and then we're going to cover our contact paper with tissue eventually. And that's what's going to make this a sun catcher because light will be able to filter through it. So we're basically going to repeat that step that we just did, where we cut a heart out of this shape now. So that way this is just a frame. So if that doesn't quite make sense, you might want to watch this first and then replay it as you're doing it. So I'm going to go maybe about that much in. You don't want to you don't want to leave this outer edge too thin because it might rip. You might want to ask for some help with this step because it is a bit tricky. Okay, so I repeated that step that I had just done before where I cut half a heart shape. So now when I unfold this, it is a frame. So if that makes sense now, you have this inside part empty and you have a little extra heart shape here, which you can repurpose for some kind of craft if you would like, but we're not going to be using it for this project. So feel free to turn that into a card or something cute. Okay, so we've got our frame. Now we need our contact paper. So this part is a little tricky as well because the contact paper tends to roll. So we want to kind of go slowly. So you might want to hold your frame up to your contact paper and kind of see which direction you need to place your contact paper. For me, if I try to do it up and down, it comes pretty close. It might not cover the entire shape of my heart. So I think I'm going to do mine horizontal or landscape, as we say a lot in class. I'm going to hold it this way, so that way it covers all of my heart shape. So there's none of this heart frame that isn't covered, at least this inner heart frame. That's the only part you really have to worry about. Okay, so you'll just peel the contact paper. You'll start in a corner. It can be a little bit tricky, so it might take a second. Here we go. I'm going to peel this white graph looking paper off from it. Like I said, it tends to want to roll, so you want to be a little bit careful. Now, thankfully, it's see-through, so you can kind of hover over your heart to make sure that it's lined up nice. And when you think you've got it, just go ahead and slowly press it down. And we'll rub it on out to make sure that it sticks to our hearts. And then you can slowly, very, very, very gently, because we don't want our hard work to rip, you can peel it up. So here we go. Now I've got my whole heart frame covered with contact paper. So one side's going to be sticky, the other side will not. But I have some that's hanging off the edge, so I don't need that. So I'm going to go ahead and very carefully trim that off, being careful not to rip or cut my heart frame. Okay, just one side. Beautiful. Oop, I cut my paper a little bit here. Gotta go nice and slow. All right, awesome. So now it fits perfect. The inside's sticky, the outside is not. I can touch this paper if I need to grab onto something. So here comes my favorite part, working with the tissue paper. So you should have 2 quarter-size pieces of tissue paper here, some in red and some in pink. Now here's where you get to get creative. You get to decide, do you want to cut your tissue paper into little squares, into smaller hearts, circles, spirals, rectangles, triangles, whatever you'd like, a mix of it all. It's up to you. So you get to decide what you want to do. You could even just literally slap this right down on the contact paper if you want. I don't think that's as fun. I think it's more fun to cut out some cool shapes, especially because if you leave a little bit of space left where the contact paper is, then that'll filter some more light through, so it'll work more as a sun catcher. So you don't want to leave too much sticky left though, because then it might stick to other stuff. So you want to try to cover it, but how am I going to do it? I think I'm going to punch out some circles using a little hole punch thing I have, and then some hearts as well, some smaller hearts. So I'm going to kind of skip ahead for this part because this part's up to you. You don't have to follow along with me or copy what I'm doing. You can decide for yourself what you want to do, but get creative and have fun with this part, okay? I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I think I'm pretty done here with mine. It's a little hard to see. There we go. So you can kind of tell that there are a few spots that don't really have any tissue. And I'm okay with that because, like I mentioned earlier, that'll allow some more light to filter through. So I think that's okay. But if you want to cover them all up, that's fine too. So I made a lot of different shapes here. I cut some different size hearts, rectangles, squares, triangles, circles, and a spiral. So the key idea here is you want to have a lot of different shapes in different sizes and designs, hopefully. But you want to place down the shapes that you want to be the most visible first. So one mistake I kind of wish I would have changed is I didn't think to do spirals till the end. So they're in the very back and you can't really see them. But I'm glad I did remember to stick down all my hearts first. That's what I wanted to show up the most. So you can kind of see my heart here, this big red one, and a little red one up here. And there's a pink one somewhere down here that kind of stick out. So I'm glad I remembered to do that. You might want to layer some hot pink on top of the red too because it's brighter. It might stand out a little bit more. But do it however you'd like and have fun with it. I've had a lot of fun creating this, but we're not quite done yet. So what's the last thing that our heart needs? Can you guess? We need a hanger for it, right? So we want to be able to display these proudly in our windows or our doors. So we need to use our ribbon for that. Now there's a couple different ways that you can do this. And there's no right or wrong. You could make a little loop and glue it to the back or tape it to the back. You could even maybe try to stick it to the contact paper. I don't know if I would suggest that because I'm not sure how well it'll hold. You could staple it, glue it. You could even hole punch a little hole here and knot it through like we did with the Unity wreaths. You can do whatever you'd like. I think I'm going to tape it to the back because I think for mine, that's how it'll stick best. All right, so I'm going to do that real quick and then I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I looped my little ribbon and just stuck it on the back with some Scotch tape pressed down so that way it would stick. And now I've got my little hanger. So you can decide how long you want your ribbon to be again too, if you want it nice and long so it can scoop over a door handle or something, or you can have it short. If you're just going to stick it on a hook or a nail, that's probably fine. So I love my little Valentine's Day sun catcher. I hope that you do as well. And I hope you had fun creating these crafts together. So if you finish these and you want to share them, I would really love to see them. So place them on Jamboard or email them or Canvas message them or text them, whatever you would like to do, but I'd love to see them. So if you're happy with how it turned out and you want to share it, I'd love to share these with everybody and see how beautiful they all turned out. So I hope to see you guys all again in person soon, but I hope that you had a great time at this event and I had a great time crafting with you all together. All right, goodbye, you guys.